Welcome to today's podcast. This is your Rubies of Grace host, Rose Inyama. Rubies of Grace podcast promote the principles of love, respect, mutual agreement, unity, integrity, and trust within our diverse relationships. We're God's jewels, beautifully crafted to radiate His image and light in this world. It's such a pleasure to be sharing this podcast on relationships matter with you. I do hope that you can come with me on this journey for us to better our relationships because relationships matter. Last time we considered what our focus in our relationships are or should be, and how we can keep away from distractions and conflict interests that could affect our focus. In today's podcast, we want to consider some of our choices, bearing in mind that choices come bearing consequences, which could be rewarding when it's a pleasant expectation, or detrimental or displeasing, or even irritating when it goes against our expectations. A Bible text for today's podcast is from the book of Psalms. We'll be reading chapter 90, verse 12 from the Amplified Bible version. The psalmist writes, "So teach us to number our days, that we may cultivate and bring to you a heart of wisdom." The Message Bible version of this same passage reads, "Oh, teach us to live well. Teach us to live wisely and well." That is the reading of God's word. Teach us to live well. Teach us to live wisely and well. From common knowledge, we know that wisdom is the ability to apply or use the knowledge, insight, or experiences that we have to make decisions for ourselves or decisions for others under our care, or to offer guidance to others. Wisdom often involves understanding the deeper truths of the circumstances we're in, seeing the bigger picture, despite what is apparent to us at that time. Wisdom involves insight as well as foresight. Wisdom can grow, and this growth occurs through our reflections, learning from other people's mistakes as well as our own mistakes, but more also learning from life's complexities. There is so much information and knowledge available, often within our reach, and we can choose to learn and apply this knowledge and information rightly and wisely to get more from life and from our relationships. Wisdom is the key to prioritizing our focus, and I believe that it is wise to choose what we care about the most and what matters to our relationships and to prioritize these as well. The Bible tells us in the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 7, reading from the King James Version, it says, "Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all you're getting, get understanding." If you could take your time to read this Bible passage up to verse 13, there are several pointers to the benefits of wisdom and of walking in wisdom. Wisdom is the principal foundation upon which very meaningful life choices and actions are built. Wisdom is very instrumental as a guiding force that integrates knowledge, discernment, insight, and experiences. Applying wisdom enables us to navigate life and with a clear goal and purpose. Imagine applying wisdom in our relationships. We would definitely navigate this with a clear goal and purpose. Therefore, the writer of the book of Psalm, a book of Proverbs, admonishes us from what we read to get wisdom, and in all of our getting to get understanding. And as mentioned above, choices and actions for a meaningful life are built on wisdom. Here is a question for you to think about and possibly honestly answer it if you can. When we think about our right or privilege to make choices, would you agree that God is always in control, but He does not always take control because He has bestowed the will to choose or to make certain decisions to mankind? What do you think? Thinking about what you want to eat. what you want to drink, what you want to wear, even what you want to look at or think about. Many of these choices, if not all these choices, are solely controlled by you. Considering a different dimension, if I should ask you, would you choose to care about everything that happens around you? Or would you care about what matters the most to your relationship? I reckon some may think that this statement is selfish. Not at all. We do not have the capacity as humans to care about absolutely everything, as this can be very overwhelming and have the tendency to pull one down. There is so much that happens around us with every tick of the clock. This is where we actually need to focus, to prioritize what means the most to us. Remember, focus is the center of your attraction, is the center of your attention, and it is the center of your activity. When we prioritize, we bring to view what really matters to us, where we want our attention to lie. And some things or certain appointments and engagements can actually wait a bit, and some others must be dealt with straight away. Wisdom will help us to align our priorities and to focus in the right manner, or to get things in the right order, what needs sorting out now and what we consider that can wait a bit. External scenes, situations, factors, and news can often be a distraction in the moment. And the choice we make or the choice we decide to filter some of this may be appropriate as we strive to live a meaningful and purposeful life. The news comes with all sorts of information, the good, the bad, the ugly. 24/7, turn on the channels, there's always a news. Sometimes it's a new one, sometimes they keep repeating, but there is always a news on the television, on the internet, on the newspaper, on magazines. There's so much information bombarding us all the time. Some of them are relevant to us, some may be a distraction. Wisdom will help us to prioritize and to focus on what really matters to us. There is always something we can do differently to prioritize what matters the most to us when we're thinking about our relationships. I want you to think about this. How about the choice to be happy? In a relationship between friends or spouses, I don't know if you've heard this statement before, but it is said that happiness is on becoming the right person and not just finding the right person. I agree with this statement. What about you? I know it's good to find the right person, but what about you? Are you the right person for the other person into your life? Are you the right person for the other person that you have a relationship with? Why not look inwardly and do your best to become the right person? Perhaps that can even change your friend to try and become the right person as well. Happiness is a choice, and we can become very intentional about making this choice daily, not just as a one off. We shall allow ourselves to be happy and not to be held hostage by external circumstances, people, or possessions. The choice we make to be happy puts us in the right place to become helpful friends, helpful companions, helpful partners, and helpful spouses. In contrast, when we do not intentionally choose to be happy, we end up becoming accusers, fault finders, showing indifference, or appearing judgmental in our relationships. Nurturing or improving a relationship, whether it is with a partner, with a friend, with a family member, it involves an intentional and consistent effort, investment of our time, energy, passion, communication, and understanding. Open, honest, and respectful communication is the foundation. If we value our relationships, then we want to prioritize our relationship. Then we have to be intentional as well to share our thoughts, our feelings, our needs with those that we have a relationship with. and also listen to them. Give them the opportunity to also share their own thoughts, to share their feelings, and to share their needs, and also endeavor to accommodate each other's feelings and needs. Intentionally making an effort to understand the other person's perspective, showing empathy by acknowledging their emotions and their experiences, even if you don't always agree with what they're saying. That really helps to nurture a healthy relationship. You cannot underestimate spending time, meaningful time together, especially if you're in an intimate relationship with a friend or spouse. Time spent together fosters rapport building and increases intimacy, showing that you care for the people that you have a relationship with by being supportive of the other person's goals, their struggles, and successes. One of the primary roles in intimate relationships is to be each other's number one fan or cheerleader, celebrating each other's successes and being a pillar of support for each other when the other is struggling. A problem shared, they say, is a problem half solved. Sharing a burden makes the load lighter. Don't just assume that you will be all right and come through the challenge all by yourself. The struggle, the difficulty could be overwhelming. Why don't you actively engage people that are there for you to share the burden with you? Showing respect for each other's needs and boundaries, acknowledging that everyone needs their personal space is crucial for a healthy relationship. This means that you acknowledge their interests, allow each other the time and space to go after some interest, which could be hobbies or even things that are interests that are not mutually shared, but allow the other person their personal space. But I should say, while indulging, if I should use this word, ensure that you're being considerate of the other person you're in a relationship with. Avoid being selfish or self centered most of the time. There is a time that can be dedicated to me time, but our time or time mutually spent together should be paramount. When we choose to accommodate people by choosing to be understanding, considerate towards their needs, their preferences, and circumstances, especially of those that we have a relationship with, we get to become intentional, to be flexible and not rigid by adjusting our behavior, our actions, or the atmosphere around us to ensure that people around us feel comfortable, they feel respected, and they feel included in our decisions. We do not struggle at all in our willingness to make changes to our routines or even plans or schedules if this helps the people that we have a relationship with. We become intentional about accommodating others, like I said, showing them empathy, trying to understand their feelings, their concerns, and their perspective. We become intentional as well about validating each other's feelings. We become intentional about sharing each other's feelings without blame. Give them the advantage. We communicate clearly and better by not only expressing our own intentions or feelings, but we pay attention to what the other person has to say, acknowledge them, and we are open to receive feedback as well and provide constructive feedback, not destructive feedback. Becoming accommodating in our relationship is a vital aspect of fostering trust, respect, and mutual satisfaction. The positive side of being accommodating is that while you are attentive, understanding, and flexible to meet as much as is necessary the expectations and the preferences of other people, you have to maintain a healthy balance for yourself. Don't let yourself become a dumping ground by choosing to keep accommodating. It's good to accommodate, but you are not a dumping ground. You should foster a healthy relationship, a healthy balance for all the parties in that relationship. If all persons in a relationship become intentional about accommodating each other, respecting boundaries, and choosing to honor each other at all times, respecting their personal space, communicating consistently through your actions, and acknowledging that each of you are unique. You have different preferences, different values, and even habits. And for our reflection today, I want us to remember wisdom is the key. Wisdom is relevant and cannot be undermined or taken for granted. If we really want to live a purposeful and meaningful life and to make the most of our relationships, we need wisdom. Will you choose what you want to prioritize to get the most of your attention? Good relationships thrive and flourish when we intentionally shift our focus away from fault finding and rather keep our focus on becoming a friend and a helpful companion. When we choose to be accommodating, we avoid crossing emotional, physical, and other boundaries that have been established by people that we have a relationship with. We're there to provide support in their times of need when they are facing challenges, struggles, or stressful times. We are willing to show flexibility. We're willing to adapt. We're willing to adjust or even make some compromise in areas like our schedules, decision making, or interest. And we also follow through on promises that we have made just to help us build trust with the people we're having a relationship with. You cannot say one thing and do something else. You need to be consistent. When we become intentional, we become helpful companions and friends. And this will motivate us to intentionally shift our focus from being accusers, from being indifferent, from being judgmental. I want to ask you, will you choose to be happy in your relationship? Will you choose to make your relationship your happy place? I do hope that today's podcast will ignite a desire to nurture your relationship and to consider areas where you may need to make a change, where you may need to adapt, or perhaps add more juice. Tune in for more. Until next time, do your best because relationships matter.